Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, I'm excited to have two board members of the Pave Foundation. And if you don't know about the Pave Foundation and you are interested in opening up opportunities for girls in STEAM programs, you're going to want to hang on because this is going to be a good one. And the Pave Foundation is doing great work. But before we get to our two guests, I just want to remind you that Renaissance Bank is wide open and ready to serve you if you're tired of the mega bank experience. Now, if you're at one of those big banks, you know what I'm talking about. They've got computer-generated voices and chat bots and all sorts of mechanisms that keep real human beings from talking to you. If you want something a little more personal in a bank, go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices, give them a call, and I think what you're going to find at that office is, number one, they answer the phone, and number two, they're big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them, but they're small enough to meet those needs and deliver their services in a personal way. That's what I hear from the folks I've sent to Renaissance. So check them out. I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Gail Tusan and Tammy Cass. Gail she's actually former senior judge. I've got to at least say that once, Gail, right?
Sure. Thank you.
Of the Fulton County Superior Court, and she's now doing great work in the community. Really always has been, but certainly as founder of the Pave Foundation, and along with Gail is Tammy Cass. Tammy Cass is based in Detroit. She's a board member of the organization as well. Gail, Tammy, welcome.
Thank you, John. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about the Pave Foundation. For those that don't know about the organization, you've been around for 5 years now. Congratulations on that anniversary. Tell us about that work. How are you serving young girls out there?
Thank you, John, and thank you for having us back. We have been working really hard since our first appearance, since we were first established back in 2019. And the organization, it is an evolution. I've always, as you mentioned, been involved in the community and have always been very interested in mentoring and supporting youth, but in particular girls. And we felt that there was a need to encourage dreams that girls of color, Black girls, brown girls, all girls for that matter, to the extent that they're underrepresented in STEM careers as well as academic programs. So we have created this organization, and our mission is for girls to dream in STEAM.
I love that. Tammy, what do you want to add to that?
I'm new to the organization, just starting out in my second year, and it has been just such a wonderful project to be part of. Gail is always innovative, keeps everybody moving forward, organized, and it's just been a great growth experience for me, as well as very fulfilling to have direct access to giving in a community.
That's terrific. And let's clarify I think a lot of people know what STEAM is, but we're talking about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but you've added arts in there as well. So STEAM is really what we're talking about here, right?
Absolutely. I think we're all more familiar with STEM, but educators, psychologists would suggest that the technical aspect of that discipline, the different branches of it, you can probably make more strides more quickly with young people if you incorporate the arts. So just as an example, during one of our summer camps, our focus was geometry. And so we used quilting as our art component to get across the concepts of geometry. And then as our kind of end of camp field trip, we actually went to the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium and exposed the girls to football and the geometry of a football game.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So let's just talk about the big picture here and the need. I don't think let's put it like this. If you don't know that there's a shortage of women in technology, in science, in engineering, in some of these fields, you hadn't been paying attention. Let's just put it like that, to be nice about it. And there have been a lot of efforts to try to bridge that gap. Where is it that Pave is coming in to further bridge the gap, to further increase the numbers in these fields?
So I think what makes us unique is that we're focused on the whole girl, and there certainly is an emphasis on mathematics. All of the studies tell you that mathematics is so key to so much, and I don't think young people necessarily appreciate that they're going to be dealing with math for their whole lives in many different ways. But I think many of the STEM programs are focused, as they need to be, on proficiency in STEM. And I think what we're trying to do is to establish a relationship with the girls, make them comfortable with themselves and each other, and to create a space in which they're eager to learn about STEM, but also about the world and their role in the world.
Mm. Yeah, Tammy, let's let you pick up on that. I think what I'm hearing is that while the primary goal is to increase proficiency in STEM per se, unless you're developing confidence among these girls, their ability to relate to themselves and others, their own selves, their bodies, unless you're developing a great core personally, then it's really hard to get to the rest of them and to develop the STEM part of it.
Absolutely. And Pave gives them the safe space to talk about uncomfortable topics that, as at home, moms might not be comfortable to discuss. But here we give them a space where they don't feel like they're going to be judged. We tell them you can ask absolutely anything. I'm pretty open. I'll answer any question that the girls ask me ever. And the sensitive topics of sexual health, menstruation, mental health, being able to feel comfortable with any of those topics is really important. And especially for women and women of color entering into the STEAM world, there are less than 9% of the population in the STEAM world is Black women.
Mm. Yeah. So what age girls are in the program? Let's talk about that.
So we originally were focused on middle school.
Okay.
From my experience as a parent, when you get to middle school, the camp opportunities during the summer, the extracurricular activities that are not related to school tend to be few. And so I was trying to provide a summer experience, which is where we started. We're now year round, but a summer experience for girls that were, say, 11, 12, 13, before they were old enough to legally work and just at home. But we have found, based on the enthusiasm about our summer camp, we have an activity in the fall called Super Science Day of the Girl. We have found that younger girls are very interested, and siblings and cousins of the older girls also want to come. So I would say we're probably 8 to 9-year-olds beginning, going all the way through 14.
And I guess the point is getting to these girls, young women early with some of the encouragement and training and whatnot that you offer, the programming that you offer, just makes it stick more, right?
I think so. I think what we have to all remember, and Tammy may be able to share this a little bit more because I didn't pursue STEM as a career, but just being uncomfortable as a girl in the classroom and participating in math or speaking up on a science project. So what we're trying to do is to supplement what's going on in the classroom early enough that the girls start leading and participating and being confident in the classroom. And I think by making the activities such that they want to come back year after year, then we've established a relationship for purposes of mentoring.
Tammy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely, in the nursing world, obviously it's a female-dominated profession, but for myself, I've worked in surgery my entire career, which is a male-dominated profession. So I have been subject to some discrimination. And so I understand what it's like when you're trying to get into a science-based area. And then for these young girls on top of it, they have gender and race discrimination when they're trying to learn and get into the STEM workforce.
And then to add to that, there are, in underserved communities, there are disparities in access to technology at home. So there's that natural learning that occurs for a lot of kids that have technology at home that does not exist for a lot of these young girls.
Oh, John, so we could talk about that for hours, but of course we won't. The Pave Foundation, as I mentioned, was founded 4 months before COVID. So we can relate to the effect that lack of access to technology can have on learning, living, thriving, developing as an organization versus being a student in a community that doesn't have access. So we know all of the challenges that families had in making sure that their children didn't fall further behind during COVID because of lack of access to technology. But the void continues because I think as education progresses, there's more reliance on technology. And the assumption is that whatever you need to thrive in the classroom, if provided by, say, the school system, you're just going to take home the iPad and continue to thrive at home. And for families that don't have the bandwidth, don't have access to the internet, it is a challenge.
So, Tammy, let's be clear on what we're talking about here. Is it access to technology? Is it the fact that some of these girls, they have the technology maybe, but they don't have the background or the proficiency in it that their peers do just because it's relatively new? Or what are some of the specifics here we're talking about?
I think it's definitely both of those things are components of that. So it's important that we look at their access at home. And like Gail was saying, it just because they have it at school, they're expected to continue that work at home with homework and stuff, and they may not have the resources. So the digital disparity continues. We just see that it continues. The poverty and unemployment, it can be worsened because everything now is digital. Everyone needs to have internet. Even job applications are online. And math, as Gail was saying, does need to continue as a lifelong process. And not everyone realizes that. So the younger the girls are exposed to that, it'll help with succeeding in problem solving, critical thinking. All of those things are important.
And they may have parents, guardians that are fully employed in terms of the hours they have to spend. They may have 2-3 jobs, what have you, right? Just to keep that family going. And so they don't have the ability to or the time, I should say, to sit down with their child and go through and understand this along with them.
I think that distinction is key. So it really is the time
Yeah.
to do what they would want to do for their child. And this, of course, isn't every child. One thing we have deliberately done is to make sure that the girls that we're serving in groups, that there is diversity in terms of home environment, resources, academic achievement, etc. So there's a good mix. But I think one thing in terms of what Tammy was talking about is with the confidence in the communication skills that we hope to instill in the girls, if there is a disparity and they're involved in a project and they want to achieve and they know that they can't for whatever reason, lack of access, home environment, or anything else, we hope that our girls will be able to self-advocate and be able to communicate, this is what I need. How can I do this? Can I stay late at school if necessary? Those may seem to be far-reaching expectations, but I think ultimately that's what we're hoping, certainly by the time the girls are in high school.
Yeah, that's a great point, because when you are in a family where parents are stretched in terms of their time, and maybe their backgrounds are different than what they want for their children, and they maybe don't know how to teach their children how to advocate for themselves at school. This doesn't have anything to do with technology necessarily. It's just how you navigate the world.
Just a life skill.
Right.
Just a life skill. And I think that is sometimes what we overlook when we do whatever we can as a community to provide the resources. Being able to actually utilize them in a way that you succeed is the ultimate goal, not just having them, but what do you do with them? So
let's talk about I guess for lack of a better term, the programming. I mean, you've got the summer camp that you mentioned. What other kind of programs, initiatives do you have for these girls? So we also have, in addition to the summer day camp, we have what we call Super Science Day of the Girl. And this is a typically in the fall activity, a one-day STEM lab where we throw the girls into kind of all the disciplines. There's a round table. They get to do it all. And it's based on the International Day of the Girl and International Science Day, I think, the combination of the two, which is why it celebrated those 2 days worldwide, and we've made ours Super Science Day of the Girl. But this last fall, I was so excited, which I think highlights the need for community partnerships. Mm-hmm. So as we have grown as an organization, we have learned what we can do with our limited resources. And we have, with wonderful people like Tammy, identified all these other people and companies that can help us. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. Yes, what a great center.
Great. And we partnered with them. They introduced us to Georgia AIM, mm-hmm. which is focusing on taking AI to help educate for manufacturing jobs in underserved communities across the state. And so they partnered with us and invited our girls to be their first group of students to learn all about AI.
Oh, wow.
It was fascinating.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, and that is a great way to light the fire of a girl who maybe didn't know that fire for science technology was there. Tammy, what would you have to say about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. In these underserved communities, sometimes it is just lack of exposure and unequal access to be able to go and see these AI programs and access all of the things that are available in the community. They don't necessarily have access to get to them.
I think part of learning these days, the best way to learn, and I always blank on, I think it's an E word before learning, I can't remember it, but the concept is to learn by doing, mm-hmm. as opposed to
experiential.
Yes, thank you. As opposed to just being told and taking notes and taking a test.
Right.
And I think one exciting part of this for me even is all of the different ways STEM is utilized. So we mentioned manufacturing jobs, maybe not so exciting, but that was something that many would want to know. But like the film industry and how technology intersects with that. So all of the kids that are all excited about the entertainment industry or films can learn what they might be able to do in terms of a skill that would get them into that particular industry.
Right here, too. Okay, I know what I was going to ask. So how does it work in terms of girls that are interested in the program, parents that are interested in PAVE on behalf of their girls? How do they connect? Is it through the school? How do they find out more, I guess, is the question. We'll get to the website here in just a second, but how does the whole process work? Do you apply for camp, or how do you get going?
So currently, we reach out to girls in many different ways. We're definitely on social media. We'll talk about the website, as you said, in a bit. We've put out flyers at libraries. Libraries are still alive and well for a lot of people in terms of after-school care,
right,
research,
access to technology. That's sometimes where you've got to get the access to technology. Yeah.
So our flyer might be there. A parent could see that. Teachers definitely going to schools, interacting with principals, counselors, STEM liaisons. How else? Just word of mouth. Churches, faith communities. So just we try to get the word out to the girls, which has quite frankly been the challenge in terms of, we know the girls are out there, but trying to get the girls to us, because again, back to the parents that are working, they may not have the ability to get the girls to us all the time. Right, Tammy? So that's what we've been working on as one of our strategic plans for our next 5 years, is how to better connect with girls.
I think that a really big benefit of this initiative for the girls is just to see each other. And I guess what I mean by that is that if you've got a girl who loves mathematics, but maybe she doesn't see necessarily, although she may have 2 or 3 in her class that love it as much as they do, but they don't talk to each other, right? And maybe they don't identify with each other, but they see strength in numbers when it comes to being part of PAVE and their peers at different schools, different geographies, et cetera, right?
I like that concept, the strength in numbers, because there definitely is a suppression element in the classroom. So you may be excited about math, but you may not necessarily show it because you're a girl or because it's perceived as not being cool. You don't want to be perceived as a nerd. There are so many things going on there. But I think definitely the girls love to be around our interns, who typically are college students. So they get to see what's next. We have affiliated with Georgia Tech students, Spelman College students, Georgia State students that are in STEM majors, and the girls eat it all up. They just love talking to the girls and finding out first, what's college like? Or what's it like not to live away from home? And then they get to the conversation about, what does it mean to be a chemistry major? And why would you want to be a chemistry major? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, wow. What great work. So let's talk about, I guess, the couple things. One is, you obviously are looking to the business community for connection, for support. Obviously, you're a nonprofit, so you're happy to accept donations. But how else can the business community connect with you and support this great work?
One way that I think it's a win, and Tammy can talk about it because she's been talking us up even in Michigan, is sponsors. We have an annual golf tournament, which is a charity tournament. And we definitely are interested in entities that want to sponsor holes or at a higher level. And so that's one opportunity for an organization to support us. Maybe, I don't know, Tammy, You were even talking to folks at the University of Michigan, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Yeah, I think everybody knows the University of Michigan is a great fundraising machine. So I had some resources there that helped me with planning out networking, how to build a networking base, and how to get out into the community and spread the word about Pave and the great work that we do, and how to get them to support the golf outing. And then, of course, working on getting my lady friends to come for a foursome at the next golf outing. So getting more people involved.
And of course, men, you're, I'm sure, welcome, delighted to have their support as well.
Oh, yeah.
At the golf tournament, for sure.
Yeah.
And in any way that you welcome folks to plug in, that's just support this worthy cause.
So we obviously need funds, but we also need mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So companies that have especially younger professionals who have navigated the same path that our girls are trying to navigate, we would love to bring the girls to the business to observe. We'd love for the business to send its people to us to have a heart-to-heart chat with the girls. And we desperately need in-kind donations. We need iPads. We need computers. We need, back to the AI Super Science Day of the Girl, I've now know all about these, I think it's AV headsets that allow you to interact. All of that, of course, is very expensive and can get outdated very easily. Establishing relationships with entities within the community that are willing to support us in that way is much needed and appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Tammy, you're certainly Tammy's the first board member outside of the Atlanta, the Georgia area, correct?
I think I am, right?
Yeah.
Gail?
Yes, you are.
Right. And so you're working to spread the word beyond state lines.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been really fun to figure out, again, us in using our technology. When we have dinner meetings for the board, everybody's having dinner and I'm on the computer eating my dinner in my kitchen, watching them through the Zoom meeting. So it's been, being able to use technology has really helped us to grow the base for the board membership by, i.e. me. And now I think, Gail, there are more people besides me that don't live in Georgia.
Yes, we had an advisory committee to help us with the first golf event. So we had individuals from Florida, Michigan, California. I was recently at a milestone high school reunion and was literally at a tailgate in the Rose Bowl parking lot and made a connection with a classmate who is a high-level analyst with the RAND Corporation, and he's all excited about helping us. As he would say, he's all about outputs and inputs. And I'm like, okay, tell me more.
That's fantastic. So I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a question about success stories. And I know you've been around for 5 years, so you're relatively young. And you can't talk about anybody by name in terms of the work you do, but you can talk about them generally. If you could share maybe just the feedback you're getting from some of these girls as they absorb what you're trying to do for them and help them succeed, and the feedback you're getting.
All right, so I'm going to try not to use the names because the faces are coming too, but I have 3 quick examples. One young lady is on the autism spectrum, but highly functional. Definitely not very social, but she has come to our camp. She probably for 3 years as a camper, she aged out and asked if she could come back as a junior counselor to help with her community service hours in high school, and did a fabulous job in doing that. Another example, there was a family that I encountered in the courtroom that was homeless, and we made a connection, and the daughter was interested in going to college. She asked, could she come to the camp? She did. She came back and shared her first year of college experience during lunch with the girls, and just saw her report card and was an A student. Very excited about that. And then we have another young lady, very well-rounded, from a home with significant resources, but she has continued to share her love of STEAM with us and is serving also as the mentor college counselor kind of setting. So we are young, but we do have some success stories, and I'm looking forward to many more. And with the help of the community, growing to the point where we actually would be able to award scholarships for our students that have been with us over the years to provide the financial support that is equally important for them to successfully get into a STEM program in college and then graduate and get a job.
Yeah. Wow. Such great work. Closing words as we wrap it up here. Tammy, what have we not gotten to that we need to make sure our audience hears?
Okay. So I would say what the audience should know is that it's a volunteer group, and everyone is very dedicated, very open, always looking for more people to join and help network and resource, because you really are supporting young women in the community. And that's our future as the young people. So we really need to always be sparking interest and intellect in them. It's so important.
Yeah, that's a great point that you're making about the just connecting resources, right? That part of what people can bring to the organization is just simply their networks, their access to resources, and the connective tissue that they can bring between their world and these young girls, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Gail, how would you like to wrap it up in terms of things that we haven't gotten to that our listeners need to hear?
You can find out more about us at our website, which is the Pave Foundation, Inc.org. And I think we're constantly expanding the website. One of our goals for 2025 is to make it interactive so that there are video webinar activities that the girls can engage in without necessarily having to come to a camp or Super Science Day of the Girl. Combining resources is very important. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So we're a charter member of an organization called the Girls Collective, which is, I think there may be a dozen nonprofits, some much larger than we are, some more established than we have been in our 5 years, but we're all girl focused. And so we collectively are helping each other with marketing, with applying for grants that may be given to a larger entity, and then we can share the reward. So I think that is important. But most of all, anyone listening, we would love to have you as a volunteer. We would love to have your girls involved. And we certainly are looking for a few more corporate representative board member profiles, as well as community partners.
Yeah, and at the website, so it's the Pave Foundation, Inc.org, right?
Yes, that Inc. is important.
Yeah. So the Pave Foundation, Inc.org, you can donate, certainly, online, and find out about events. So whenever you're listening to this show, we're recording here in early January 2025, but if you're listening to this show later this year or even in 2026, you can go to the website and find out what events are coming up and how to get involved. Excellent. Tammy Cass, Gail Tusan, the Pave Foundation, thanks so much for the great work the two of you are doing and your colleagues on the board and in the organization. We appreciate that work and just delighted we can shine a light on it.
We appreciate the light, John. We appreciate you. And I certainly am very thankful for the board members, our executive director who works very hard, and our volunteers, and of course, our girls.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, Tammy, thanks to you as well. So, folks, before we wrap it up today, just a couple of quick things before we let you go. I have a book out, and if you are a solo or small services firm provider and you're basically selling your expertise, so you're a coach, consultant, you're in the legal profession, you do accounting work, this book is written for you. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. So if you've got issues around your value, expressing your value, understanding what your client perceived value is, pricing to that value, this book can help. You can find more at thegenerositymindset.com and about the book, and also where to buy the book, which is essentially where all books are sold. Also, I want to remind you and thank you that North Fulton Business Radio is the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond. And I want to remind you of that, but thank you, because the only reason that's the case is because of you. If you're listening to this show, you're making that happen and supporting that work. And you have supported us over these past almost 9 years in so many different ways. You like us on social media, you share the show, you send us great guests, and I'm grateful to you for that. So thank you for helping us live into our mission to be, again, the voice of business in the North Fulton region. So for my guests, Gail Tusan and Tammy Cass, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.